I'm Anil Kumar sharing with you 5 questions on word problems related to percent. I'd like you to pause the video, copy these questions, answer them, and then look into my solutions. I hope these questions will help you to review what you have learned about percent and its application. The question number 5 is not very clear. Let me just push the page a bit. Now you can copy it. Here are my solutions. Let's begin with question number 1. A ball is dropped from a height of 50 meters above the ground. It bounces to 90% of its previous height on each bounce. What is the approximate height that the ball bounces to on the 4th bounce? Round to nearest 10th. So let's try to understand the situation, right? So let's say this is the ground and the ball has been dropped from the height of 50 meters. Let's say that's the height of 50 meters is dropped. Now it bounces once and goes up, but only 90%, not the full height of 50. So 90% of 50, then it goes again down, bounces back 90% again. So like this, right? So this is the 3rd bounce. It's good to sketch and then understand so that you don't make a mistake, right? So that is the situation. So as you can see, these are the bounces from the ground. This is the 1st bounce, 2nd bounce, 3rd, and 4th. So I've kind of stretched it a bit so that you could visualize correctly. Now the height here starting was 50 meters, correct? Now when I say 90% of 50, so this is 90% of 50. It means what? It means 90 over 100, 90% of means times 50, correct? So that is what it is, which you could also write as 90 divided by 100 is 0.9, correct? Times 50. So that is what 90% of 50 is. So in this case, I'll write down this height as we could also write in the other way, which is 50 times 0.9. That means 10% less, 45, correct? So we'll do the calculations later, but let's try to understand. After the 2nd bounce, it goes 90% of this value. So that becomes 50 times 0.9 times 0.9, correct? 90% of previous. Then it is again 90% of previous, which is 50 times 0.9. So we already had 2. This is the 3rd one. So we could also write this in exponential form, 0.9 to the power of 3, right? And then after the 4th bounce, it becomes 50 times 0.9 to the power of 4. So what you've learned here is concept of percent and also exponents, correct? Now it is easy to calculate. So let's use the calculator. We'll do 50 times, within brackets, put 0.9 to the power of 4, bracket close. So bracket close equal to. So let's write the decimal value of this, which is approximately equal to 32.805. Now that's what calculator gives. We need to round our answer to nearest 10th. So 10th place is the place after the decimal. So it is equal to 32.8 and the units are in meters. So that is how you're going to answer this question. So I hope the steps are absolutely clear. This is one of the most important questions in this series of 5. Go through it once again. Try to understand how we related the bounces with the percent. Now let's move on to the next question. Now let us see how to answer question number 2. I paid $1,200 for a camera on 40% discount. What was the original sale price? So that is to say that after 40% discount, sale price was $1,200. Correct? We want original price. We want original price. Of course, it has to be higher, right? So let us say the original price is C. Let's say original price is the cost C. How do we get 40% discount on C, right? So you could think like this. After 40% discount, I paid this. That means I paid, you can say I paid 60% of original price. C, right? How do I get 60%? 100 minus 40. So that is the discount. I did not pay that. Do you see that? So you could think like this. So that helps you to think and then get to the solution. So basically, we know that 60% of C is 1200. So that means that 60% of the cost actual is equal to 1200. So I hope you have got the logic. This is what I'm trying to show you. So 60% in decimals could be written as 0.60. 60 divided by 100. Of means times C is 1200. So this is the part of thinking. So all this which I've shown here is how you should think. And then get to the solution, correct? So from here we can see what C is. So C should be 1200 divided by 0.6. So C is 1200 divided by 0.6. Correct? So when you multiply with the decimal, first step is let's get rid of decimal. So it is 12 and then add 1 0, 12,000 and becomes 6. Correct? Now you can actually divide. 6 goes 2 times, so it is 2,000. So C is $2,000. So do you see how to even calculate? And in this particular video, we also learn how to divide by a decimal number, right? So that's the whole idea. It's a process of learning at this stage. Now let's move on to question number 3. An iPad is on sale at Future Shop for $450. Best Buy has the same iPad with regular price of $700 with 30% discount. Where would you buy this iPad, right? So at Future Shop, let's say at Future Shop, the cost is $450. So that is known to us. Now let's see what is the cost at Best Buy. So the cost is $700, correct? So let's write 700 with 30% off. So now we have to do 30% discount, right? Now always the discount will be on the price. So that means we have to find what is 30% of 700. That is to say 30% of 700. That's what we need to find. That is equal to 0.3 times 700. Correct? So 0.3 times 700 is as good as 3 times 70, which is 7 times 3, 21, $210, right? So we have to take away the discount. So we say less discount, which is $200. So we'll take away $210. So when you take away $210, what do you get? 6 take away 2 is 4. You get $490. Now since 490 is greater than 450, which is a better deal? Better deal is at Future Shop, correct? So we'll say we'll buy from Future Shop at $450. This is cheaper by $40, right? It is $40 less price. You get an idea. Since we need to explain this and why, do you get the idea, right? And why? Well, here is an alternate approach to the same thing. So alternate approach is kind of like this. At Best Buy, we have 30% off. That means you pay only 70% of 700. Do you understand? So this is a shortcut. 70% of 700 means 0.7 times 700. 7 times 7 is 49, so you get 490, right? Taking care of the decimal. So that's a very fast calculation. You don't have to do less discount, right? So I'll prefer this at times, as we did in question number 2. I hope you understand the whole thing, correct? So in percent questions, you could actually approach in different ways. And those who are looking for multiple choice questions based on such questions, these are the shortcuts. We could call them tricks to do. Let's move on to question number 4 now. An Apple store sold 180 iPhones, 135 of which were iPhone 6. What percent were not iPhone 6, right? So what we know here is that the total sale is of 180. Now how many iPhone 6? iPhone 6 are 135. So we say not iPhone 6. So we have to take away, correct? So once you take away, so you get 5, 7 from there, take away 3 means 45. So 45 are not. So important thing here is what percent were not. So we need to find percent which were not, right? So percent not will be change, which is 45, right? That is the difference. So we always divide by the initial amount, which is 180. So it'd be 45 divided by 180 times 100. You get an idea, right? That is how we have to do. Now at times calculator may not be allowed also, right? So we're looking into possibilities. So in this case, you could simplify like this, cancelling zeros, right? And both can be divided by 9, correct? 9 times 5 and 9 times 2. And then you can divide 2 by 2 into 10 by 5, correct? So multiplying 5 and 5, you get 25%. So 25% of these were not iPhones, correct? So you could write their answer that 1/4, 25% were not iPhone 6. Right? So let's move on to the last question now, which is question number 5. At a car wash fundraiser, it took 80 minutes to wash a group of cars. If it took an average of 2.5 minutes to wash each car, how many cars were washed? So there are two parts to this. First is how many cars were washed. Second is, if Jasmine washed 3/16 of all the cars, how many cars did she wash? Right. So there are two parts. So let's call them part A and B. So first part is to find how many cars were washed. Correct. So number of cars. Let's find number of cars first. Now we have a total time of 80 minutes. Right. Total time. So it is total time divided by time taken for one car, right? Time for one car. So in our case, that is the number of cars. Total time is 80 minutes. And for one car, it is 2.5. Now 2.5, let's write 2.5 here. Now you could use 2.5. You could also use this as a fraction. So we say 80 divided by 2 times 2, 4, and this is like 5/2, correct? Which could be written as 80 times 2/5. It's important to understand these calculations, right? That's the whole idea, right? So now you can divide and then multiply by 2. So 80 divided by 5. So 5 times 5, and then you get 30, which is 6. So 2 times 6 is 32. So what we get here is equal to 32, correct? So we know that total number of cars are equal to 32. So that is the first answer, 32. Second is, Jasmine washed 3/16 of all cars, correct? So what is Jasmine's number of cars washed? So for Jasmine, she did 3/16, that means 3 over 16 of 32. Of means multiplication. So it is 3 over 16 times 32. Is that clear? Now, 32 is twice 16. So you could just cancel as I've shown. And 3 times 2 is 6. So Jasmine washed 6 cars. Perfect. So that is how you're going to answer this question. Now these were very interesting questions for grade 8 and 9 level students, and I hope you find it useful. So I've gone through simple steps to show you how we can get the answer, but go through them once again, try to understand the strategy. I hope that helps. Feel free to write your comments and share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for watching and all the best.